mouth, teeth, and tongue.
In this module, you will learn about caring for the elder's mouth, tongue, and teeth, identifying and addressing common oral issues, techniques for cleaning and maintaining oral hygiene, and signs that indicate the need for professional dental care. Let us view the module.
The mouth, which includes the teeth and tongue, is an oval opening inside the skull between the jaws. The mouth helps us perform the important functions of eating and speaking. Teeth help us bite, chew, and grind food before swallowing it. They also help us speak and provide support to the muscles of the face. The tongue is a sense organ which mainly helps us taste food. It also facilitates chewing, swallowing, and speaking. Let us now look at the different types of teeth in the mouth. An adult has 32 permanent teeth, 16 on the upper jaw and 16 on the lower jaw. To express the order of teeth, we divide them into 4 quadrants and use the formula shown. To understand the arrangement of various types of teeth, let us use another formula. In each quadrant, there are 4 different types of teeth: 2 incisors, 1 canine, 2 premolars, and 3 molars. The incisors have a thin, flat surface and are mostly used for biting and cutting food. The canines have a pointed tip and are used for tearing and ripping food. Both premolars and molars have a broad, flat surface and are bigger and stronger than other teeth. Molars are bigger in size than premolars. Both these type of teeth are used for chewing, crushing, and grinding food. The last molars on either side of the mouth, both in upper and lower jaws, are called the wisdom teeth. The wisdom teeth appear by the age of 17 to 26. Note that the 4 wisdom teeth are represented by number 8 in each quadrant. Some adults may have all the 4 wisdom teeth, while some may not have any. All types of teeth have a similar structure. Let us take a look at the structure of a tooth. The part of the tooth which is visible is known as the crown. The part of the tooth embedded in the jaw and cannot be seen is known as the root. The gums help attach the tooth to the jaw. The strong and smooth outer layer of the tooth is called the enamel. Dentine is the layer under enamel. It supports the enamel and absorbs the pressure on teeth when we bite, chew, or grind. Dentine is sensitive to very hot or cold food and drinks. This is due to the nerves which touch dentine and send the sensations to the brain. Cementum is a layer of bone-like tissue covering the root. It helps attach the tooth to the bones in your jaw. The center of the tooth is called the pulp. It contains blood vessels for the nourishment of the tooth and the nerves that transmit signals to the brain. Let us now look at the structure of tongue. The tongue is made of muscles and is covered with moist pink tissue called mucosa. The tongue is attached to the hyoid bone in the throat at the back of the mouth. A thin layer of tissue, frenulum, connects the tongue to the bottom of mouth. This is how the tongue receives the blood supply. Tongue has tiny bumps called papillae, which give the tongue a rough texture. Papillae help grip the food and move it around while chewing. There are many taste buds in the papillae. These taste buds have tiny hair cells on top and are connected to nerves. Each taste bud can detect 4 tastes. These are sweet, sour, salty, and bitter. Let us see how the tongue helps us taste food. When we eat or drink, the hair on the taste buds detect the taste and send signals to the nerves connected to the taste buds. These nerves transmit the signals to the brain. The brain interprets the signals and we taste a food or drink. Let us recap what we have learnt about the mouth. An adult has 32 permanent teeth. In each quadrant there are 2 incisors, 1 canine, 2 premolars, 3 molars. The visible part of the tooth is the crown, and the part embedded in the jaw is the root. The gum helps attach the tooth to the jaw. The parts of a tooth are enamel, dentine, cementum, pulp, nerves and blood. The tongue is attached at the back to hyoid bone in the throat and at the bottom of mouth by frenulum. Small bumps called papillae on tongue contain taste buds with hair cells, nerves and blood supply. Each taste bud can detect 4 tastes, which are sweet, sour, salty and bitter. The following process describes how we can taste food. The hair on the taste buds detect the taste. It sends signals to the nerves. The nerves transmit the signal to the brain. The brain interprets the signals and we taste a food or drink. Skin, hair, and nails.
In this module, you will learn about techniques for caring for the skin, hair, and nails of an elder, recognizing and treating common issues, promoting overall hygiene and health, and using appropriate products and tools for care. Let us view the module.
Skin, hair, and nails not only act as an interface between our body and the environment, but also have many other functions. Let us first look at the functions of the skin and its structure. Skin covers and protects the muscles, bones, nerves, organs, and blood vessels inside our body. Skin is also one of the sense organs, which helps us feel anything we touch. It plays an important role in getting rid of waste products in the body and regulating the body temperature through sweating. The skin is made of 3 layers, which are the epidermis, the dermis, and the subcutaneous layer. Epidermis is made of 3 types of cells, which are keratinocytes, melanocytes, and Langerhans. Keratinocytes produces a protein, keratin, which helps in creating the layers of skin. Melanocytes produce melanin pigment, which gives color to our skin and protects us from harmful rays of sun. Langerhans protect the body against infections. New skin cells are formed regularly in the lowest part of the epidermis. These cells move to the epidermis and the old skin cells are shed. This is called the skin regeneration process. Dermis is made of connective tissues, which contain two types of proteins: collagen, which gives strength to the skin, and elastin, which help the skin to stretch. Dermis contains the sebaceous glands, which produce oil called sebum, and the sweat glands, which produce sweat. The sweat and the sebum come out of the pores to reach the epidermis. Sebum keeps the skin lubricated and waterproof, while the sweat cools the body. Dermis also contains blood vessels, nerves, and hair shaft. The nerves have different types of endings called receptors, which are sensitive to heat, cold, pain, touch, and pressure. The subcutaneous layer of the skin is mostly made of fat. This layer absorbs shocks, helps the body stay warm, and holds the skin to the muscles and tissues below. Now let us look at how we feel something we touch. When we touch something, say that is hot, the receptors detect the touch and send signals to the spinal cord and then the brain. The spinal cord initiates a reflex action, in this case, moving away from the hot surface. Then the signals go to the brain, which interprets what happened. Let us take a look at the functions and structure of hair. Hair protects the skin and keeps it warm by preserving heat. The hair in the nose and around the ears and eyes protect them from dust and other particles. Hair grows from hair root or papilla in the subcutaneous layer. Below the papilla, there are blood vessels which nourish the hair. Hair shaft grows out of the dermis through a tiny tube called a follicle. Most of the hair follicles are attached to a sebaceous gland. The oil secreted by these glands reach the follicle and makes the hair shiny. There is a tiny muscle strand called a recta pili attached to each hair, which make the hair stand when we are scared or feel cold. Hair also has nerves around it. Let us now look at how a hair grows. Hair cells are formed at the papilla. As new hair cells are formed, the old cells move upward through the skin. These cells are cut from the blood supply and become dead. Then, these dead cells convert to form a hard protein called keratin, which forms the hair. The hair grows longer and detaches itself from the papilla. Then, the hair falls out, and a new hair grows and replaces it. Let us now look at the function and structure of nails. Nails protect the tips of fingers and toes from injury. They also help us in scratching and picking up objects. Free edge is the part of nail which we can trim. The nail plate is the visible portion of the nail below the free edge. Matrix is the skin at the base of the nail, from where the nail grows. It is the only living part of the nail and contains nerves and blood vessels. The rough skin that surrounds the nail at the matrix is called the cuticle. It protects the matrix from invading bacteria and physical damage. Let us now look at how a nail grows. The epidermal cells below the matrix divide to form new cells. The old cells move up the matrix and are cut from the blood supply. As more cells are generated, the nail is pushed forward and the nail grows longer. Let us recap. Our skin covers and protects the structure inside the body, helps us feel what we touch, helps get rid of waste, and helps regulate our body temperature. The three layers of skin are epidermis with melanocytes, keratinocytes, and Langerhans, dermis with connective tissues, subcutaneous gland, sweat gland, hair shaft, blood vessels, and nerves. Subcutaneous layer with fat, nerves, blood vessels, and papilla. The receptors in the skin detect what we touch and send signals to the brain through the spinal cord. The hair protects the skin, nose, ears, and eyes, and keeps the skin warm. The main parts of a hair are papilla, follicle, and hair shaft. The process of hair growth is as follows. 1. The hair cells at the papilla divide and form new hair cells. 2. The old cells move upward and are cut from the blood supply. 3. These dead cells are converted to keratin. Our nails protect the tips of fingers and toes and help in scratching and picking objects. The process of nail growth is as follows. 1. The epidermal cells below the matrix divide to form new cells. 2. The old cells move up and are cut from the blood supply. 3. As more cells are generated, the nail is pushed forward and the nail grows longer.
The ear and hearing.
In this module, you will learn understanding hearing changes and issues in elders, identifying and addressing hearing loss, techniques for effective communication with hearing impaired elders, and use and maintenance of hearing aids. Let us view the module.
Ears are the sense organ that enables us to hear. They also help us maintain the balance of our body. To learn about the ear, let us first look at the different parts of the ear. The structure of ear can be divided into outer ear, middle ear, and inner ear. The outer ear consists of pinna, the visible part of the ear, and the external auditory canal, which is attached to the pinna. The external auditory canal produces earwax, which traps dust particles. It also produces chemicals to protect the ear from infections. The middle ear consists of a very thin tympanic membrane, or the eardrum, and three tiny bones, together called the auditory ossicles. The three bones are the hammer, the anvil, and the stirrup. The eustachian tube connects the middle ear to the nose and throat. It acts like a valve and ensures that the air pressure on the two sides of the eardrum is the same. This tube is mostly open to allow the passage of air. When it gets closed, it reopens by activities such as yawning, swallowing, and chewing. The inner ear consists of a coiled structure called cochlea, the vestibule, and three semicircular canals. The cochlea helps in hearing, while the vestibule and the semicircular canals help in maintaining the balance of the body. All these three structures are filled with fluid and lined with millions of tiny sensitive hair cells, which are connected to nerves. The vestibule is attached to the vestibular nerve, and the cochlea is attached to the cochlear nerve. These nerves are connected to the brain. Now, let us understand how we hear. Sound travels in the form of sound waves. These sound waves are received by pinna and directed to the external auditory canal. From here, the sound waves reach the eardrum and make it vibrate. The vibrations are transferred to the hammer, then to the anvil, and then to the stirrup. The stirrup then transfers the vibrations to the cochlea by pushing against it. This moves the fluid in cochlea, causing the thin hair cells to move and send signals to the brain through the cochlear nerve. The brain interprets the signals, enabling the person to hear the sound. Now, let us understand how the ear maintains the balance of the body. The vestibule, using tiny hair cells sensitive to linear movement, helps the brain understand any linear movement of the head. The semicircular canals, using tiny hair cells sensitive to angular movement, help the brain understand any movement if the head moves at an angle. Let us recap. The structure of ear can be divided into outer ear with pinna and external auditory canal, middle ear with the eardrum, auditory ossicles, and the eustachian tube, inner ear with cochlea, vestibule, and the three semicircular canals. The following process describes how we hear. The external ear directs sound waves to the eardrum. The eardrum vibrates and transfers the vibrations to the auditory ossicles. The auditory ossicles transfer the vibrations to the cochlea. The fluid inside cochlea moves. The hair cells move and send signals to the brain. The brain interprets the signals and we hear the sound. The vestibule helps the brain understand any linear movement of the head. The semicircular canals help the brain understand any movement if head moves at an angle. The eye and vision.
In this module, you will learn about common vision problems in elders, techniques for supporting vision health, adapting the environment to assist with vision loss, and recognizing symptoms and seeking professional assistance. Let us view the module.
Eyes are an important sense organ that help us to see. Some parts of the eye are visible to us, while the others are not. Let us first look at the parts of the eyes that are visible to us. Eyes are located inside a hollow area inside the skull called the eye socket. The eyelids and eyelashes protect the eyes. The white part of the eye is sclera, which covers and protects the eyes. The dark central part of the eyes is pupil. It is an opening from which the light enters the eyes. The colored ring around the pupil is iris. The muscles in the iris help in making the pupil larger in dim light and smaller in bright light. Conjunctiva is a transparent layer which covers the eyes and inner part of eyelids. Conjunctiva produces mucus, which lubricates and protects the eyes and eyelids. Now let us look at the internal parts of the eyes which are not visible to us. In this cross-section, you can see the conjunctiva, the sclera, the iris, and the pupil. Cornea, a transparent bulge, is located at the front of the eyes, above the iris and the pupil. Cornea makes our vision clearer. The lens is located behind the iris. Lens is suspended in the eye with the help of fibers attached to ciliary muscles. The ciliary muscles change the shape of the lens to help the eye focus on objects. The space between the cornea and the iris is the anterior chamber. This chamber is filled with a transparent fluid called aqueous humor, which nourishes the eye and keeps it healthy. The inside of the eye is called the vitreous chamber. It is filled with a transparent gel-like fluid called vitreous humor, which gives the round shape to the eyes. Retina is the inner surface of the back of the eyeball. It contains many nerve cells. These cells, called photoreceptors, convert light into signals, which can be understood by brain. Photoreceptors are of two types, rods and cones. Rods help us see in black, white, and shades of grey, and cones help us see colors. The optic nerve, located at the back of the eye, transmits the signals from rods and cones to the brain. The eye's blood supply also enters and leaves from the back of the eye. Now, let us understand how we see. When light reflects from an object, the cornea bends the incoming light rays before they enter the eye through the pupil. Then, the light ray strikes the retina. The photoreceptors in the retina convert the light into signals and send them to the brain through the optic nerve. The brain then interprets the image, enabling us to see the object. The part in retina where the optic nerve connects to the eye is called the blind spot. The blind spot does not have any rods and cones, so if any reflected light strikes this spot in retina, we do not see any image. There is a small area towards the center of retina, known as macula. When light strikes macula, we can see clearly because there are many cones in this region. Inside macula, there is a small pit called fovea, which contains only cones. Our vision is the sharpest when the light reflected from an object strikes fovea. Eyes are located inside the eye socket. Sclera covers and protects the eyes. Light enters the eye through pupil. Muscles in the iris help the pupil to change shape. Conjunctiva produces mucus, which lubricates and protects the eyes and eyelids. Cornea helps make the vision clearer. Lens and the ciliary muscles help the eye focus on objects. Aqueous humor in anterior chamber nourishes the eye and keeps it healthy. Vitreous humor in vitreous chamber gives the round shape to the eyes. A clear image can be seen when the reflected light from an object strikes the macula. The following process describes how we see objects. When light reflects from an object, the cornea bends the light rays before they enter the eye through the pupil. The light ray strikes the retina. The rods and cones in the retina convert the light into signals. The optic nerve transmits the signals to the brain. The brain interprets the image, enabling us to see the object. The nervous system.
In this module, you will learn about understanding the elder's nervous system, common neurological conditions affecting elders, recognizing symptoms and early detection, and management and support strategies for neurological health. Let us view the module.
The nervous system controls all the functions of our body. It enables us to think and perform actions according to a situation, or to respond quickly using our reflexes. Let us understand what the nervous system is made up of and how it works. The nervous system consists of the brain, spinal cord, and nerves. The nerves are made of millions of nerve cells called neurons, which receive and transmit messages. The neurons are connected to each other at a junction called synapse. Synapse is the gap between two nerves. The brain is like a computer which decides and tells the person what to do. The spinal cord and the nerves take messages from the brain to the body parts and back. The nervous system can be divided into the central nervous system with brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system, which comprises the nerves. Let us now look at the structure of the brain and spinal cord, which make the central nervous system. The brain is mainly made of fat and neurons and is covered by the skull. From the top, the brain can be seen as two halves. The right half controls the left side of the body, and the left half controls the right side of the body. Between the brain and the skull, there are layers of membrane called meninges, filled with the cerebrospinal fluid. The meninges and the cerebrospinal act like a cushion and protect the brain. The cerebrospinal fluid also fills the inside spaces in the brain and helps remove waste products. Networks of blood vessels nourish the brain. The brain has three parts: the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brain stem. Cerebrum, or the forebrain, has a wrinkled surface and fills most of the skull. Cerebrum can be further divided into four lobes. The frontal lobe controls our thinking and decision-making and shapes our personality. The parietal lobe controls senses, movement, speech, imagination, pain, touch sensation, and intelligence. The occipital lobe controls the vision. The temporal lobe controls language, perception, and memory. There is a limbic system in the cerebrum, which affects the emotions, motivation, mood, and sensations of pain and pleasure. Pituitary gland in the temporal lobe secretes the hormones that control our growth, metabolism, digestion, sexual maturity, and response to stress. Cerebellum and the midbrain are located at the lower back part of the skull. Cerebellum controls and coordinates movements of the muscles like walking or swinging the arms and help us balance the body. The brainstem is located below the cerebrum and in front of the cerebellum. It controls and coordinates the autonomic actions of our body, such as digestion, breathing, and heartbeat. The brain is directly connected to the cranial nerves that connect the parts of the face to the brain and the spinal cord. Let us now look at the structure of the spinal cord. The spinal cord is a bundle of nerve fibers made of neurons connected together. It is attached to the brainstem and goes down the back. The backbone covers and protects the spinal cord. Between the spinal cord and the backbone, there are meninges filled with cerebrospinal fluid, just like the brain. Along the length, the spinal cord is attached to pairs of 31 spinal nerves, which connect to the various parts of the body. Let us now look at the peripheral nervous system, which consists of the nerves. This system can further be divided into somatic and autonomic nervous system. The nerves in the somatic nervous system control our conscious actions, such as clapping. The nerves in the autonomic nervous system cause actions which we do not consciously control. These actions do not involve the brain and are controlled by the spinal cord. For example, a person removing hand from a hot object, sneezing, or the process of digesting food. Some autonomic actions may not involve the spinal cord. For example, blinking of eyes, in which the impulse travels directly from the cranial nerve to the brain. Let us now look at how the somatic nervous system works with the central nervous system to enable conscious actions. When a neuron in a nerve receives a message from a body part, it releases chemicals known as neurotransmitters. The neurotransmitters travel across the synapse and carry the message to the next neuron. This continues from one neuron to another till the message reaches the brain through the spinal cord or directly. The brain interprets the message and directs the body parts to perform actions as required. For example, when you see an insect on your hand, the brain tells the other hand to scare it away. Let us now look at how the autonomic nervous system works with the central nervous system to enable autonomic actions. When a neuron in a nerve receives a message from a body part, it releases neurotransmitters, which travel across the synapse and carry the message to the next neuron. This continues from one neuron to another till the message reaches the spinal cord. The spinal cord very quickly sends a message back to the nerve, telling it about the action to perform. The action suggested by the spinal cord is mostly the same in similar situations. For example, if you touch something hot, the nerve sends the message to the spinal cord and it tells the muscle in the hand to remove the hand. There is no thinking involved in this situation. Let us recap. The nervous system consists of brain, spinal cord, nerves. The nervous system is made up of millions of neurons connected together. The nervous system can be divided into the central nervous system with brain and spinal cord, the peripheral nervous system with nerves. The parts of the brain are cerebrum, which controls the sense organs, movement, speech, learning, imagination, intelligence, and memory. Cerebellum, which controls the movements of the muscles. Brainstem, which controls the autonomic actions. The brain is connected to the spinal cord and cranial nerves. The spinal cord is attached to the brain and 31 spinal nerves. The peripheral nervous system can be divided into the somatic nervous system involved in conscious actions, the autonomic nervous system involved in autonomic actions. Brain controls and coordinates all the conscious actions in the body. Spinal cord controls and coordinates some of the autonomic actions.
The cardiovascular system.
In this module, you will learn about understanding the elder's cardiovascular system, common cardiovascular conditions affecting elders, and promoting cardiovascular health through lifestyle adjustments. Let us view the module.
The cardiovascular system is a network of blood vessels starting and finishing at heart. Blood is the fluid which flows through the blood vessels. Blood transports gases, nutrients, and hormones to the cells in different organs of the body and carries waste products away from them. The heart pumps the blood into the blood vessels. The movement of blood through the heart and body is called circulation. Let us look at how blood circulates in the cardiovascular system. The deoxygenated blood with carbon dioxide and other waste products flows from the cells in different parts of the body to the right side of the heart. Then, this blood flows from the heart to the lungs. In the lungs, the blood expels the carbon dioxide and picks oxygen to become oxygenated. Then, the oxygenated blood flows from the lungs to the heart. From the heart, the oxygenated blood flows to the different parts of the body. Let us now look at the different types of blood vessels. Blood is carried from the heart to the different parts of the body by the blood vessels known as arteries. Veins are the blood vessels that carry blood to the heart from the lungs and other parts of the body. Arteries are further divided into arterioles and venules, unite to become veins. very thin blood vessels known as capillaries connect the venules and arterioles. The blood from the arteries flows through the arterioles and reaches the capillaries. Capillaries pass the nutrients and oxygen from the blood to the cells in various body parts. The capillaries also collect waste products and carbon dioxide from the cells and pass it to the blood. This blood then flows to the venules and finally to the veins, from where it reaches the heart. Let us now look at the structure of the heart. The heart is situated at the center of the chest, between the lungs, tilted towards the left side. It is almost the size of a clenched fist. Our heart is made of cardiac muscles and is enclosed in a protective sac called the pericardium. The heart is divided into 4 chambers: the right atrium, the left atrium, the right ventricle, and the left ventricle. There are 2 valves, one between the right atrium and the right ventricle, and the other between the left atrium and the left ventricle. These valves are called atrioventricular valves. The right side of the heart is separated from the left side by a wall called septum. The right atrium is connected to 2 veins, the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava, which bring deoxygenated blood from the body. The deoxygenated blood is pushed into the right ventricle, from where it enters the pulmonary artery to be sent to the lungs. The pulmonic valve separates the right ventricle from the pulmonary arteries, and the aortic valve separates the left ventricle from the aorta. Let us now look at how the heart pumps blood. The blood is pumped by the heart in 2 phases: diastole and systole. A diastole and a systole together make a cardiac cycle. During diastole, the ventricles are relaxed, and the oxygenated blood from the lungs fills in the left atrium through the pulmonary veins. At the same time, deoxygenated blood from the other parts of the body, brought by the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava, fills the right atrium. The walls of both the atria contract. Then the deoxygenated blood flows from the right atrium into the right ventricle. The oxygenated blood also flows from the left atrium to the left ventricle. During systole, the ventricles contract, and as the pressure increases, the atrioventricular valves close. The closing of these valves produces a lup sound. The further increase in pressure opens the pulmonic valve and the aortic valve. Then, the deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle flows to the pulmonary arteries, which carries it to the lungs. At the same time, the oxygenated blood from the left ventricle flows to the aorta, which carries it to the different parts of the body. When the ventricles finish contracting, the diastole starts again. The ventricles relax, and the blood starts flowing into the atrium from the veins. This closes the aortic valve and the pulmonic valve. The closing of these valves produces a dub sound. Lub and dub together make the sound we hear when the heart beats. Let us recap. The cardiovascular system consists of blood vessels, heart, blood. Blood transports gases, nutrients, and hormones, and removes waste products from the cells. The heart pumps blood into the blood vessels. The sequence of blood circulation in the cardiovascular system is: deoxygenated blood from the body parts flows to the heart. Deoxygenated blood from the heart flows to the lungs. Blood is oxygenated in the lungs. Oxygenated blood from lungs flows to the heart. Oxygenated blood from the heart flows to various body parts. The different types of blood vessels are arteries, arterioles, veins, venules, and capillaries. The four chambers in our heart are right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle, and left ventricle. In the heart, the right atrium is connected to the veins. The ventricles are connected to the arteries. Atrioventricular valves separate the atriums from the ventricles. Two valves separate ventricles from the arteries. The blood is pumped by the heart in two phases. During diastole, the ventricles relax and blood flows into the heart. During systole, the ventricles contract and the blood flows out of the heart.
The gastrointestinal system.
In this module, you will learn understanding the gastrointestinal system in elders, common gastrointestinal disorders and symptoms, dietary and management strategies for gastrointestinal health, and when to seek medical advice for gastrointestinal issues. Let us view the module.
The gastrointestinal system helps digestion and absorption of nutrients. During digestion, food is broken down and the nutrients in the food are absorbed. Then, the undigested food and waste products are digested out of the body. Let us look at the different parts of the gastrointestinal system. This system can be divided into the alimentary canal and other organs which help in digestion. The alimentary canal consists of the mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and anus. The small intestine is divided into duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. The large intestine is divided into cecum, colon, and rectum. The cecum is attached to the appendix, a vestigial organ which does not have any function in the body. The other organs that help in digestion are the teeth, tongue, salivary glands located under the tongue and near the lower jaw, liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. Let us now look at the process of digestion. Digestion starts in the mouth. When we ingest food and then use our teeth to bite, chew, and grind the food into small pieces. The tongue holds the food between the teeth when we chew. When we sense food in our mouth or think about food, the brain sends signals to salivary glands. Upon receiving the signal, the salivary glands start producing saliva. An enzyme in saliva called salivary amylase breaks down starch in the food. The saliva also makes the food softer and acts as a lubricant in the mouth, which makes swallowing easy. The tongue and the movement of the mouth help us to swallow and move the food to the pharynx. The pharynx is connected to the windpipe and the food pipe. A flexible flap of tissue in pharynx called the epiglottis closes the windpipe when we swallow food. From the pharynx, food goes down to a muscular tube called the esophagus. The muscle contractions force food down through the esophagus to the stomach. The food is churned and mixed in the stomach with acids and enzymes produced by glands in the wall of the stomach. The food is broken down and finally made into a thick liquid. This thick liquid is then poured into the first part of the small intestine, known as the duodenum. The liver, located at the right upper side of the stomach, produces liquid called bile, which is necessary to break down fats. The bile produced by the liver is stored in the gallbladder, which is located just below the liver. When fatty food reaches the duodenum, the gallbladder releases bile into the duodenum to help break down the fat. The pancreas, located behind the stomach on the right side, also produce various enzymes, which are secreted into the duodenum. These enzymes break down proteins, carbohydrates, and fats in the food. The food is then passed from the duodenum to the jejunum, where most of the nutrients and glucose is absorbed from the food. The food is then passed to the ileum, where vitamins and other remaining nutrients in the food are absorbed and passed to the blood. The walls of the small intestine have finger-like projections called villi, which are connected to the blood vessels. Villi help in better absorption of the nutrients in food. The nutrients are then passed into the blood in the blood vessels. The blood carries the nutrients to the liver. The nutrients and glucose absorbed by the walls of the small intestine travel to the liver and are further processed, and any toxins are converted to substances harmless for the body. The glucose is converted and stored as glycogen in the liver. Later, when the body needs energy, the liver transforms the glycogen back into glucose, which is sent into the blood for energy. The undigested waste is passed to the first part of the large intestine, a pouch known as cecum. From the cecum, the waste is passed to next part of the large intestine, the colon, where the water and salts are absorbed from undigested waste. The waste is then passed to the last part of the intestine, the rectum, to be stored till it is digested. Finally, the waste is digested from the body through the last part of the alimentary canal, the anus. Let us recap. The parts of the gastrointestinal system are mouth, teeth, tongue, salivary glands, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, liver, gallbladder, pancreas, small intestine, large intestine, anus. The steps in the process of digestion are: food is chewed by the teeth. Saliva breaks down the starch in the food. The food is swallowed and moved to pharynx. The food moves down to esophagus and then to stomach. In the stomach, the food is churned and mixed with acid and enzymes to form a thick liquid. This liquid is poured into the small intestine. The bile produced by the liver and enzymes produced by the pancreas are secreted into the small intestine. Bile breaks down the fats. The enzymes from pancreas breaks the proteins, carbohydrates and some fats in the food. The nutrients and vitamins in the food are absorbed by the walls of the small intestine and passed to the blood in blood vessels. The nutrients are carried to the liver. The undigested waste then passed to the large intestine. Finally, the waste is egested from the body through the anus.
The musculoskeletal system.
In this module, you will learn understanding the musculoskeletal system in elders, common musculoskeletal conditions and symptoms, techniques for managing pain and maintaining mobility, and exercises and activities for musculoskeletal health. Let us view the module.
The musculoskeletal system consists of the parts of the body which give shape to our body, enable movement, and protect internal structures. The musculoskeletal system consists of the bones, joints, cartilage, ligaments, muscles, tendons, and bursa. Bones and muscles also perform many other functions in the body. Let us first look at the structure of a bone and the various bones in the body. There are 206 bones in our body, which are attached together to form the skeletal system or the skeleton. The skeleton is the frame of our body. The skeletal system can be divided into axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton comprises the skull, vertebral column, and thorax. The skull protects the brain, while the thorax and vertebral column protect the heart and the lungs. The skull, vertebral column, and thorax are made up of many bones. The bones in the skull are cranial bones and facial bones. The bones in the thorax are sternum and ribs. The vertebral column contains many bones known as vertebrae. The appendicular skeleton comprises bones that are attached to the axial skeleton. These are the bones of the shoulder, arms and hand, hips, legs and foot. The arms are connected to the axial skeleton through the shoulder bone or scapula. The other bone in the shoulder is the clavicle or collarbone. The bones in the arm are humerus in the upper arm and the radius and ulna of the forearm. The wrist has many small bones known as the carpals. The bones of the palm are metacarpals and the bones of the fingers are phalanges. The legs are attached to the axial skeleton through the pelvic girdle, which is formed by the two hip bones. It protects the organs in the urinary system, the reproductive system, the colon, and the rectum. The thigh bone is known as the femur. It is the longest and the heaviest bone in the body. Patella is the knee bone, which protects the knee joints. The bones on the leg below the knee are tibia and fibula. The bones of the feet are known as the tarsals. The bones in the forefeet are metatarsals, and the bones in the toes are phalanges. The bones of the leg and foot bear the entire weight of our body, especially when we are standing. Bones are made of calcium, phosphorus, other minerals, and organic substances. The outer layer is a thin membrane known as periosteum. It contains nerves and blood vessels that nourish the bone. The next layer is the smooth and hard part of bone known as the compact bone. Inside this layer, there are many layers like sponge known as cancellous bone. The innermost part of the bone is the bone marrow. It is a thick, jelly-like substance. The main function of the bone marrow is to produce red blood cells. It also stores fats and plays a role in immunity. The bones are attached at joints. At the joints, there is a soft tissue between the bones known as cartilage. Cartilage prevents the bones from rubbing against each other. Ligaments are strings made of tissue that surround joints and bind two bones together. The elastic fibers in the ligaments enable them to stretch a little. The ligaments strengthen and stabilize joints, permitting movement only in certain directions. Let's now look at the three types of joints in the body. Fixed joints do not move. These are found between the bones of skull. These joints mainly provide protection. Slightly movable joints only allow a little movement. The joints in the backbone, between the sternum and ribs, and between the pubic bones are slightly movable. Freely movable or synovial joints move in many directions. The neck, shoulders, elbows, wrists, hip, knees, and ankles have free mobility. Let us look now at the muscles in the body. Our body comprises over 630 muscles covering the entire skeletal system. These muscles are collectively known as the muscular system. The muscular system helps maintain the body posture and allows movement. The muscles in the heart provide the main force for circulation of blood. The muscles in the esophagus, stomach, and intestines help in intestinal movement. Let us now look at the structure of a muscle and the types of muscles in the body. A muscle consists of thousands of long, fiber-like muscle cells bundled together. These fibers are made of proteins known as myofibrils, which are elastic in nature. The muscular system comprises three different types of muscles: the skeletal muscles, the smooth muscles, and the cardiac muscles. Skeletal muscles, attached to various parts of the skeleton, comprise muscles that are either striated or striped. These muscles are also called voluntary muscles. because their movements can be controlled by us. For example, we can choose to move our hand or walk. Movements like chewing, scratching, and blinking are all made possible by these muscles. Smooth muscles are involuntary muscles controlled by the nervous system. These muscles are found in the esophagus, stomach, intestines, and other hollow organs. Cardiac muscles are muscles lining the heart. Tendons firmly attach the ends of a skeletal muscle to a bone. They are bands of tissue made of a strong protein called collagen. Bursa is a small fluid-filled sac that lies under or over a tendon. These cushion the tendons and protect them from injury. Bursa also provides extra cushioning to adjacent structures that otherwise might rub against each other, such as between the skin and the elbow, kneecap, or shoulder area. Let us recap. The musculoskeletal system gives shape to our body, enables movement of the body, protects internal structures. The musculoskeletal system consists of the bones, joints, cartilage, ligaments, muscles, tendons, and bursa. The skeletal system can be divided into axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton comprises the bones of skull, thorax, vertebral column. The bones in the appendicular skeleton are scapula, clavicle, humerus, radius, ulna, carpals, metacarpals, phalanges, pelvic girdle, femur, patella, tibia, fibula, tarsals, metatarsals, phalanges. Bone contains many layers of calcium, phosphorus, other minerals, and organic substances. The main function of the bone marrow is to produce red blood cells. The bones are attached at joints. The soft tissue between the bones is cartilage. Ligaments bind two bones together. The three types of joints are fixed joints, slightly movable joints, movable joints. The muscular system helps to maintain the body posture and allows movement. A muscle consists of thousands of long, fiber-like muscle cells bundled together. The different types of muscles in the body are skeletal muscles, smooth muscles, and cardiac muscles. Tendons attach a skeletal muscle to a bone. Bursa lies under or over a tendon to cushion the tendon and protects it from injury.
The reproductive systems.
In this module, you will learn understanding changes in the reproductive systems of elders, common issues and conditions, addressing health concerns with sensitivity, and supporting reproductive health in elders. Let us view the module. Reproduction
is the process by which living beings form new individuals of their own kind. In human beings, both the male and the female are involved in reproduction. An offspring develops from the fusion of specialized cells, known as germ cells, one each from the male and the female. Let us first look at the various parts of the male reproductive system and their functions. The most important part of the male reproductive system is a pair of testicles. Testicles secrete the male hormone, testosterone, which stimulates the cells to produce sperms. It is also responsible for the male characteristics such as facial hair, broad shoulders, and Adam's apple in the throat. The spermatic cord consists of arteries, veins, and the tube that carries the sperm from the testicles to the urethra. The other organs help in nourishing, protecting, and transporting the sperm out of the body. The scrotum is the loose skin covering the testicles. It also contains many nerves and blood vessels. Special muscles in the scrotum allow it to contract and relax according to ambient temperature. It keeps the temperature of the testicles slightly lower than the body temperature, which is important for sperm development. Near the base of the urinary bladder, there are sac-like pouches known as seminal vesicles. The seminal vesicles produce the semen, a grey liquid. On the other side, the seminal vesicles are connected to the ejaculatory ducts. The ejaculatory ducts pass through the prostate gland. Prostate gland secretes fluids which nourish the sperm. In the prostate gland, the ejaculatory ducts connect to a single tube, urethra. The urethra continues out of the prostate gland. In males, urethra is also a part of the urinary system, which expels the urine out of the body. The external male reproduction organ is the penis, which is used for copulation. The urethra passes through the penis and opens at the tip of the penis. The penis is made of muscles and is attached to the wall of abdomen. It has a shaft and conical-shaped terminal part known as the glans. The body of the penis is cylindrical. It is made up of special sponge-like tissue which contains thousands of large spaces. The penis also contains a number of sensitive nerve endings. The only visible parts of the male reproductive system are the scrotum and the penis. Now, let us look at the various parts of the female reproductive system and their functions. The female reproductive system protects and nourishes the zygote till it develops into a baby and takes birth. Another function of this system is to facilitate the secretion of the female hormones that control the reproductive cycle, or the process of producing ovum. These hormones are also responsible for female characteristics such as enlargement of breasts, widening of hips, and fat on thighs. The female reproductive system can be divided into external parts and internal parts. The internal parts include the ovaries, fallopian tubes, uterus, and vagina. The two ovaries are small, oval glands located on either side of the body. The ovaries produce ovum. The fallopian tubes are two narrow tubes attached to the ovaries on one side and the uterus on other. These tubes provide the site for fertilization. The uterus is a hollow, pear-shaped organ, also known as the womb. It can be divided into the main body and the lower part, cervix. The internal lining of the uterus is known as the endometrium. The vagina is a muscular canal that connects the cervix to the outside. The sperm is received through vagina during copulation. The baby is also born through vagina. Let us recap. The main reproductive system includes 2 testicles that produce sperms, 2 spermatic cords that carry sperms to the urethra, 2 seminal vesicles that secrete semen to provide energy to sperms, 2 ejaculatory ducts that transfer sperms from seminal vesicles to urethra, prostate gland which secretes fluid to nourish sperms, urethra which transports sperms and semen out of the body, penis which is used for copulation. The internal parts of the female reproductive system include a pair of ovaries that produce ovum, a pair of fallopian tubes that provide a site for fertilization of ovum, a uterus where a zygote develops into a baby, and a vagina which receives the sperms and provides an opening for the birth of a baby. The respiratory system.
In this module, you will learn about understanding the respiratory system in elders, common respiratory conditions and symptoms, techniques for managing respiratory health and preventing respiratory infections and issues. Let us view the module.
The respiratory system allows us to breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. This process is also known as respiration. Let us first look at the parts of the respiratory system, starting with the nose. Nose, which is the only visible part of the respiratory system, is a sense organ which helps us to smell. The nose is made of cartilage and is covered by the skin on the outside. The 2 nostrils are separated by a wall known as septum. The septum is made up of thin pieces of bone. You can also see tiny hair inside the nostrils. In the skull, around the nose, there are hollow cavities known as sinuses. Behind the nose, the nasal cavity connects the nose with the back of the throat. The nasal cavity is separated from the mouth by the roof of the mouth known as the palate. The mouth and the nasal cavity meet at the pharynx, at the back of the throat. It carries both food and air. Below the pharynx, there is the voice box or the larynx. Below the larynx is the trachea, made up of rings of cartilage. These rings give a shape to trachea and keep it open. The trachea is divided into 2 tubes known as the bronchi. Each tube, known as a bronchus, extends into one of the lungs. Lungs are a pair of large organs made of elastic tissue. Inside the lungs, the bronchi are further divided into many branches with thinner walls known as bronchioles. At the end of each bronchiole, there are small air chambers known as alveoli. Each alveolus has a network of very small blood vessels called capillaries. Below the lungs is the diaphragm, which is a muscle that helps the lungs to breathe in and breathe out air. The lungs are protected by the rib cage, which is connected to the spine at the back. On the inside, the air passage, including the nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, and trachea, are lined with a moist, thin layer of tissue called the mucous membrane and microscopic hair called cilia. The mucous membrane makes a sticky gel-like substance called mucus. The cilia move up and down to move the mucus out of the respiratory system. Now, let us look at how we breathe. We breathe in air through the nostrils and also through the mouth. Any dust particles or germs are trapped by the mucus and the tiny hair in nostrils and nasal cavity. The nasal cavity warms up the air and moistens it before it enters the pharynx. The air passes through the pharynx, the larynx, the trachea, and the bronchi to reach the lungs. When we breathe in, lungs fill up with air. The diaphragm flattens out and moves down. The rib cage lifts up and outward to give more space to the lungs. The oxygen in the air passes through the walls of the alveoli into the capillaries to the red blood cells. The red blood cells carry the oxygen to the heart. Then, the heart sends the red blood cells with oxygen to all the parts of the body. Meanwhile, the red blood cells carry carbon dioxide from different parts of the body and reach the heart. Then, the carbon dioxide is sent by the heart to the capillaries in the lungs and released into the alveoli. When we breathe out, the lungs squeeze and the diaphragm relaxes and moves up, pushing the lungs up to throw out the carbon dioxide. At the same time, the rib cage relaxes and the ribs move to their original position. The carbon dioxide expelled from the lungs passes through the bronchi, trachea, larynx, and pharynx and is finally thrown out from the nostrils. Now, let us understand how we can smell. The olfactory bulb, which helps us to smell, is located on the roof of the nasal cavity. The olfactory bulb contains special receptors that are sensitive to different smells. When these receptors detect smell, they carry signals through the olfactory nerve to the brain. The brain interprets the signals and we can recognize a smell. Let us recap. The main parts of the respiratory system are nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchiole, alveoli, lungs. The diaphragm and the rib cage move to support the lungs while breathing in and breathing out air. When we breathe in, the air enters through the nostrils. The mucus and tiny hair in the nostrils and the nasal cavity trap dust particles and germs. The nasal cavity warms up and moistens the air. The air passes through the pharynx, larynx, trachea, and the bronchi to reach the lungs. The oxygen in the air passes through the alveoli into the capillaries to reach the red blood cells. The red blood cells with oxygen flow from the capillaries to the veins and then to the heart. The heart sends the red blood cells with oxygen to all the parts of the body. When we breathe out, the red blood cells with the carbon dioxide from different parts of the body reach the capillaries. The capillaries pass the carbon dioxide to the alveoli. The lung expels the carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide travels through the bronchi, trachea, larynx, and pharynx, is thrown out from nostrils. The process of recognizing smell is as follows. The receptors in the olfactory bulb on roof of the nasal cavity detect smell. The receptors carry signals to the brain. The brain interprets the smell and we can recognize it.
The urinary system.
In this module, you will learn about understanding the urinary system in elders, common urinary conditions affecting elders, recognizing symptoms and early detection, and strategies for managing urinary health. Let us view the module.
The main function of the urinary system is to remove waste products from the bloodstream to form urine and expel it from the body. The urinary system lies under the digestive system in the abdomen area, on either side of the backbone. Let us first look at the various parts of the urinary system. A pair of kidneys is the main organ of the urinary system. The kidneys, which are bean-shaped, help in regulating the blood pressure, the water level, and the salt content in the blood. They also regulate the production of red blood cells in the body. A layer of fat surrounds the kidneys to cushion and hold them in place. The outer covering of each kidney is known as the capsule. The renal artery brings the blood into the kidney, and the renal veins take the blood out of the kidney. Inside the capsule, there are 1 million blood filtration units in the kidney known as the nephrons. The nephron ends in a collecting duct. There may be many nephrons connecting to a collecting duct, and there can be many such collecting ducts. The collecting ducts end in a cavity at the base of the kidney. This cavity in the kidney is connected to a long tube called ureter. The ureters are then connected to the urinary bladder. At the other end, the urinary bladder is the urethra, which is located between the pelvic bones. The urethra is tightened by the sphincter muscles. Let us now look at how urine is formed and expelled out of the body. The renal artery brings the blood to the kidney. The blood reaches the capillaries inside the glomerulus in the nephron, which filters the blood. Some of the water and small molecules in blood, such as urea, uric acid, glucose, sodium, and amino acids, dissolve in water, pass through the walls in the capillaries into the nephron. Large protein molecules and blood cells remain in the blood. The purified blood then passes through the capillaries and finally to the renal vein. The filtered liquid passes to the nephron. Here, substances like glucose, amino acids, sodium, and some water is reabsorbed by walls of the nephron. The remaining liquid can now be called urine, which flows to the collecting duct and finally to the cavity. The urine then flows through the ureters and collects in the urinary bladder. As the urine collects, the bladder expands. However, the sphincter muscles tighten at the outlet of the bladder and prevent the urine from being expelled. When the bladder is full, the nerves in the bladder send impulses to the brain, and the person has the urge to urinate. When a person is ready to urinate, the bladder walls contract, and the urine is expelled out of the body through urethra. Let us now look at how kidneys control the blood pressure and salt level in the body. The kidneys have special cells which detect blood pressure and the level of salt in the blood. If the blood pressure drops, they release an enzyme, renin, which regulates the blood pressure. Renin makes us thirsty and crave for salt, all of which helps increase the blood volume and blood pressure. More salt in the blood makes the renal tubules absorb more water and expel less water in the urine. Renin also stimulates the adrenal gland to secrete a hormone called aldosterone. Aldosterone increases the reabsorption of salt in the renal tubules. As the salt in the blood increases, the renal tubules absorb more water. More water in the blood further increases the blood volume and the blood pressure. Let us now look at how kidneys regulate the water level in the blood. The brain monitors the water level of the blood. If blood contains too little water, the brain instructs the pituitary gland to release a hormone called antidiuretic hormone or ADH. This hormone travels through the bloodstream to the capillaries surrounding the nephron and increases water absorption. If the blood contains too much water, then less ADH is released, thus allowing more water to pass out in the urine. Let us now look at how kidneys regulate the production of red blood cells in the body. When the kidneys do not get enough oxygen in the blood, they secrete a hormone called erythropoietin. Erythropoietin stimulates the bone marrow to produce more red blood cells to carry oxygen. Let us recap. The parts of the urinary system are kidneys, ureters, urinary bladder, and urethra. A kidney contains millions of filtration units called nephrons. The process of urine formation and expulsion is as follows. Blood reaches glomerulus through renal artery. The blood is filtered in glomerulus, and the filtered liquid along with the molecules then passes through the nephron. Nephron absorbs glucose, amino acids, sodium, and some water. The remaining liquid, urine, passes to collecting ducts. The urine then passes to the ureter. Then the urine passes to the urinary bladder. Finally, the urine is expelled through urethra. The process of controlling blood pressure and salt level is as follows. If blood pressure and salt level drops, kidneys secrete renin. If the blood pressure or salt level is high, no renin is secreted. The process of regulating the water level in the blood is as follows. The brain detects water level of the blood. If there is too less water, it instructs pituitary gland in the brain to release ADH. ADH travels to kidneys and increases water reabsorption. If water level is too high, no ADH is secreted by the pituitary gland and there is low water reabsorption in the kidneys. The process of regulating red blood cells in the blood is as follows. When the kidneys detect low oxygen in blood, they secrete erythropoietin. Erythropoietin stimulates the bone marrow to produce more red blood cells. Age-related changes in the elder.
In this module, you will learn about how human body changes with age. Let us now view the module.
The human body is a fine piece of machinery. Its various parts work together to make the body function. From the time a person is born till the time they die, the body changes continuously. The various organs and systems develop from birth to adulthood. Starting from the middle age or later, the organs and systems begin to deteriorate. The extent and timing of these changes may vary for every person, depending on various factors such as their lifestyle, genetics, and diet. Let us look at some of these changes that occur in a person's body as they age. Let us begin by learning about how skin changes. With age, the skin loses resilience and moisture and develops dryness. As the tissue elasticity changes, skin wrinkles. In some areas of the aged skin, melanin synthesis increases, leading to pigment spots. While a young adult renews epidermal cells every 20 days, for an elder, this time increases to 30 or more days. This is why a wound heals much slower in an elder as compared to a young adult. The subcutaneous tissue under the skin plays an important role in the body's adjustment to temperature. With age, the natural insulation that subcutaneous fat provides is lost, causing the person to feel cold. As a person ages, the hair becomes sparse and grey. Hair turns grey because of the decrease in melanin production in hair follicles. Nails of both fingers and toes grow slower. The nail plate thickens and becomes yellowish. With age, the fat in the eye sockets supporting the eyes decreases and the eyes sink into their sockets. The pupils decrease to about 1/3 of the size as compared to when the person was 20. They also react more slowly to darkness or bright light. The lens becomes yellow and cloudy. As a result, the sharpness of vision gradually decreases, and focusing the eyes on a nearby object becomes difficult. The vitreous humor inside the eyes also starts to shrink and creates small particles, reducing the clarity of vision. The eye muscles also weaken, which make it difficult to move eyes in all directions. With age, a person gradually loses their hearing abilities. Among other causes, it is because the ossicle joints between hammer and stirrup develop calcification. This causes reduced vibration of these bones and in turn reduced transmitted sound. With age, the smell perception declines. This is due to loss of cells in the olfactory bulb of the brain and a decrease in the number of sensory cells in the nasal lining. The person may increasingly breathe from the mouth while sleeping, leading to lower saliva production. Due to changes in the trachea and larynx, there may be changes in the person's voice pitch. As a person grows old, respiratory muscles weaken. Changes in the chest and lungs cause reduced efficiency in ventilation and gas exchange. Let us understand some of the changes that occur in the mouth and teeth and taste abilities. In the mouth, the amount of saliva that helps digestion decreases. There is also a gradual loss of taste buds. As a person's teeth fall, they may start to depend on dentures. All these changes have a negative impact on the person's sense of taste, appetite, and nutrition. The changes in the gastrointestinal system of a person, such as an increase in the stomach pH, make an elder to be more susceptible to gastric irritation and intolerance to fatty foods. The urinary system of a person also changes with age. The walls of the bladder become thick and hard. Therefore, the bladder cannot stretch as much as before and can hold lesser amount of urine. As a person ages, they also undergo skeletal and muscular changes. They lose calcium from bones and the bones become brittle. Their vertebral discs become thin due to dehydration. Some elders may also feel lesser sensation in their feet. A person may lose 1.5 to 3 inches of height every 20 years. Many aged persons assume a stooped, forward bent posture. Proximal muscles, including muscles in the shoulders, arms, thighs, and near our spine, also weaken with age. If a person has become inactive with age, their less used muscles may gradually degenerate. Let us look at some of the changes in the circulatory system. In the heart, the left ventricle wall thickens and the left atrium increases. In addition, the valves become thicker and stiffer due to lipid deposits and other factors. The heart contracts more slowly than before. The blood provided by the artery blood flow to the circulatory system also decreases. As a person ages, there are changes in their nervous system and mental faculties. The brain weight decreases by around 10%. The nerve cells gradually deteriorate and die. While the intellectual performance of a person without any brain disorders may remain the same as they age, they may become forgetful and take longer to perform various tasks. Due to changes in the central nervous system, the sense to orient one's body deteriorates. In addition, tactile sensitivity or sense of touch also decreases due to the loss of large number of nerve endings and skin changes. With age, a person may become less responsive to pain. Conditions that are normally painful may only cause a minor discomfort in the elder. For example, an elder may not notice a burn. A similar burn may be quite painful for a younger person. As a person becomes old, there are several physical and mental changes that occur. Understanding these changes will help you become more efficient and empathetic when caring for an elder. Let us recap. With age, the skin becomes dry, wrinkled, and may develop pigment spots. Wounds take more time to heal. Hair becomes sparse and grey. Nails grow slower. The eyes sink into their sockets. The pupil becomes much smaller. The lenses become yellow and cloudy, leading to reduced clarity of vision. The hearing abilities reduce gradually. The sense of smell declines. The person may increasingly breathe from the mouth while sleeping. The efficiency in ventilation and gas exchange reduces. The person may lose teeth and their sense of taste may decline, in turn causing loss of appetite and nutrition. The person may become more susceptible to gastric irritation and intolerance to fatty foods. The bladder cannot stretch as much as before and can hold lesser amount of urine. Calcium is reduced from the bones and vertebral discs become thin. The person may lose height and assume a stooped, forward bent posture. In the heart, the left ventricle wall and valves thicken and the left atrium increases. The heart contracts more slowly and the blood provided by the artery blood flow to the circulatory system decreases. The nerve cells gradually deteriorate and die. The person may take longer to perform various tasks and become forgetful. The sense to orient one's body deteriorates. The sense of touch decreases. The person may become less responsive to pain